Hey guys, welcome back. We got some crazy sibling drama going on today. We're going to read the stories, spill that tea, and find out what's really going on. I'm Summer, and trust me, you're going to want to hear this, so let's just get right into it. Alright guys, so the first story is from the Am I the A-hole subreddit. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help pay my brother's tuition after I found out my parents used my college fund for him? I'm 28. My brother Jake is 19. When I turned 18, my parents told me there was not enough money saved for college and I had need to take out loans. I did. I've been paying them off for 6 years, still have 4 years left. It's been a significant financial strain on my life. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. 2 weeks ago, I was helping my mom go through some old paperwork and came across a statement for a savings account I did not recognize. Ooh, let's see where that goes. When I asked about it, she got quiet and eventually admitted it was originally set up for me, but they directed the funds towards his education over the years because he showed more academic promise. What? That's crazy. Let's keep reading. I paid for my own degree with loans while my college fund was quietly moved to my brother without anyone else telling me. What do they mean? Is this the college fund by the parents, or is it maybe like an inheritance college fund? I mean, I don't even know if that would really make a difference. It's still messed up. I mean, to look at it from like both sides, from the context that we have right now, if it's the parents' money, they put it away, they're technically allowed to do with it however they see fit. Not saying that that's the right thing, but that might be their thought process. But that's really messed up for OP. Let's see how this goes. A few days later, my dad called asking if I had been willing to help cover some of his tuition since he started his second year and costs have gone up. Are you kidding me? Why would you cover anything when you've been struggling to pay for your own college tuition, the loans that you have out? Why would you, even if you had money, consider giving it to them? He should take out a loan of his own. I told him no, thank God, and told him exactly why. He said what's done is done and that Jake shouldn't be punished for decisions that they made years ago. I told him Jake is not being punished, he is just not being funded by the person they had already robbed once. Exactly. You tell him like it is, girl. Like, that's crazy. Why would you, when you're already in financial strain right now, trying to pay off you going to college, why, if you had any extra money, why would you give it to him? It's time for him to get his own loans. My mom is barely speaking to me. Jake doesn't know any of this. My dad keeps saying I am letting old anger ruin family relationships. Am I the a-hole? Well, before we read any comments, my thoughts are I don't see OP referencing like any type of like inheritance, because I know that happens sometimes when you have a college fund. Sometimes it's like grandparents setting that aside for you, or, other relatives that may pass, but that's not the case. It sounds like it's her parents' money who put the money away. Now, trying to see it from their point of view, like, I guess it's their money, they can do what they want, but that's totally not right. If you put it away for one child, then that should be the child who gets it. You should have been equally contributing to both accounts. Have 2 different accounts, one for OP, one for the brother, and contribute equally. You're supposed to, love your kids equally. So It's really hard to even try to see the other side of this. Like, I'm 100% on her side. Like, I can't even really see an explanation from them why they would do that. Showed more academic promise, that doesn't matter. Clearly, OP went to college, finished college, is making enough money to start paying off her loans. Yeah, she might be having some financial strain, but I mean, she has a whole bunch of loans right out of college because she had no help. Absolutely not the a-hole, in my opinion, before we read any comments. Absolutely not. You definitely should not pay. And it looks like you said your brother doesn't know any of this. Maybe you should loop him in. Are you close with him? Let's see if there's any relevant comments. Top comment, not the a-hole. Your dad does not respect you. It sounds he only values you to the extent you have utility in his life. And OP actually responded. That's exactly how the phone call felt, honestly. First time he has reached out in months, and it's to ask for money. Oh no. No. That's toxic. That's toxic. You don't need toxic relationships in your life, even if they're family. That's terrible. I think you should loop your brother in if you're close with him. And I agree with this commenter. It definitely doesn't sound like your dad respects you. Honestly, it sounds like both of your parents are maybe have a different, view of reality, because the reality is you had no help. You had to take out all the loans on your own to go to college. Now you're paying all of those off. Your brother had help. And now that tuition has gone up, maybe that fund doesn't cover all of it and he needs more money. He needs to go get his own loans. Baby brother should get loans as well. Do not fold on this. Maybe go low contact with your parents. This comment right here, literally. Brother needs to go get his own loans. And if it were me, absolutely low contact. Another one, tell your parents that they will have to continue coughing up money themselves as you still have student loans to pay. It doesn't matter that they redirected the funds as it was their money and their choice, but you can't give what you don't have. Do tell your brother that your parents asked and that you can't help due to your own loans to pay. Not that you're angry at your parents for the blatant favoritism, but that you just don't have that kind of money to offer help and have him sign up for his own loans. Exactly. This comment literally sums it up. You don't have the money. You are not necessarily saying that you're angry at the favoritism. I mean, I'm sure it hurts. But you don't have the money and you were able to get loans and pay for them. So I think the consensus here is you're not the a-hole and baby brother should get his own loans. But let me know what you guys think. Okay, so the next story is from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. Am I the jerk for taking back the birthday cake I brought to my sister's party? My sister had a birthday party at her house last weekend. She told everyone not to worry about bringing food because she had everything covered. But I like baking, so I spent most of Saturday making a homemade chocolate cake anyways. She said thanks when I arrived and put it on the kitchen counter. A little later, I overheard her telling a few relatives that the cake was from a local bakery. What? Girl, that's crazy. You made that cake. That would make me so mad. Because she didn't want people asking for the recipe all night. What? Even if they did, they would go up to OP and that wouldn't be her problem. Okay, let's continue. I laughed at first because I thought she was joking, but she kept saying it every time someone complimented it. Just give your sister some credit. Like, she made you a nice cake. If people ask, just be like, yeah, my sister made it. It's not a big deal. Eventually, one of my cousins came over and asked which bakery she brought it from because it was really good. Before my sister could answer, I said, actually, I made it. Yes, girl, you tell them. She rolled her eyes and said, does it really matter? Yeah, it matters because if she made a really good cake, let her get some compliments. It's not a big deal. I told her it kind of did since I spent hours making it. She shrugged and said nobody cared where it came from and I was making a scene over a dessert. They did care where it came from. That's why they kept asking and asked for the bakery. And OP was not making a scene over dessert. She is making a scene because you want all of the attention on yourself and is not willing to share any of the attention. Like, I understand that it's your birthday. There's nothing wrong with being, the center of attention. It's your party. I get it. But you're also not the only person in the world. Just give OP some credit for making a cake. It's not a big deal. That annoyed me, so when the party started winding down, I packed up what was left of the cake and took it home. There was still about half of it left. Yes, girl, she clearly didn't appreciate it. Take that home. I would have done the same. The next day, she texted me saying she planned on sending slices home with people and that taking it back was childish. Oh, now you wanted the cake? My mom also said I should have just left it there because it was a birthday gift once I brought it. I guess it could have been said that it was a birthday gift, but she was completely bashing it, so you thought she didn't want it. I don't think it's unreasonable to take back something after the person spends the whole night pretending they made or bought it themselves. Am I the jerk? Your mom does have a kind of a point there. It would be seen as a gift and you are kind of taking back a gift, but your sister was being a jerk. And were you petty? Yeah, you were petty, but there's nothing wrong with being a little petty sometimes. And I think the way that your sister was talking about it and making you feel like crap about wanting to take credit for it, I would have taken the cake. Let's read some comments. Top comment, what a weird thing to lie about. Does she lie all the time? Literally. OP responded, not really. I don't know why she did. Someone else commented there saying she didn't want you getting attention on her birthday. She wanted the party to be about her, not about people complimenting you. And OP said, what? Never heard of that. Why would she want credit or attention of something that she didn't want to? After all, it was her birthday. She would have gotten it anyways. So, I did mention that earlier, it is OP's birthday. So it doesn't really say how old this sister is. It does, mention the mom saying that OP was petty, but it doesn't say if the mom lives there, still is with the sister. I don't know if the sister's young or older. If the sister's younger, it doesn't make it okay. That would be a good teaching point. But, when you're younger, you want all of the attention. When you're adult, you should kind of know that, yeah, you want the attention, but you're not the only person in the world. Regardless, giving someone credit for a cake is not a big deal. Let's say, for example, right, you're at a wedding and you see this extravagant cake, you taste it, it tastes delicious. You don't just be like, oh yeah, I made that, or I just bought that from some bakery. You usually give that person credit. That doesn't take away from it being your day. This is similar. Even if the sister is younger, she would have to learn that she's literally not the main character. She can give some credit when it's due. Another top comment here, was it petty to take the cake back? Yes. Do I approve because your sister is acting like a jerk? Literally my words. I feel the exact same way. Another person says, personally, I'd consider topping up on the petty. If I ever made something for a gathering again, print off recipe cards and hand them out whenever someone's complimenting it. That's great, especially when the sister's around. That would be so funny. Well, I think the consensus here is you're not the jerk. Sister is definitely acting like a jerk. But let me know what you all think. On to the next story. Okay, so the last story is from the Am I the A-hole subreddit. Am I the a-hole for not making my sister my maid of honor? My sister, 29, and I, 27, are fairly close. We always have been. We grew up sharing a room, telling each other everything, and hanging out. Besides the occasional childhood fight, we've never really had any issues, until now. My fiance proposed to me 1.5 years ago, and we've been actively planning for the wedding for around 10 months. My best friend of 16 years has been heavily involved in the planning and helping me with various wedding projects. My plan all along was to make my friend my maid of honor, but everything went horribly wrong when I announced my bridesmaids. I took all of the girls out to brunch and gave them all gift boxes to surprise them. Everyone was super over the moon except for my sister. She seemed very fake happy, is the best I could describe it. She was slightly passive aggressive for the rest of the meal, but I didn't take it to heart. Well, let's pause there for a second. So far, it does sound like OP is very close to the sister, but she also does have someone that she considers her best friend. So if the sisters are close, I would guess that the other sister knows that OP has a best friend. So it also depends, like, is the best friend like around more? Does OP usually hang out with the best friend more often? Do, more things with her more often? Or are you guys doing all the things together? I don't know. This is a tough one because honestly, I can see where the sister is coming from. She knows that OP has a best friend, so it shouldn't necessarily be surprising, but I can see why she would feel hurt. Let's keep reading. Days go by and we meet up for coffee at this shop near my work. She continued to give off this weird vibe, and I finally ask her, "What's up?" Well, firstly, if you feel hurt by it, I know some people need time to process, but I definitely think that if you're feeling some type of way about something, you should bring it up with the other person to kind of clarify before you start processing things, because you're gonna, start, getting in your head a little bit and trying to come to conclusions without having all of the facts. So I think the sister should have definitely talked to OP first. It looks like she waited a few days and then they met up. She started to completely go off on me about how close we are and how she was supposed to be my maid of honor instead of my best friend and how she deserves it more than her. Well, you're not entitled to a title at someone else's wedding. That is completely up to the bride and groom, and you shouldn't feel that that person needs to make that decision. I don't know. That's just my opinion. You're expecting it. But let's keep reading. This completely caught me off guard, and to be honest, I didn't even know how to respond. I tried to apologize, but ultimately told her it was my decision and that was that. Exactly. I understand, you guys are really close and she might feel a little bit hurt by it, but in the end, it really is your decision, and it sounds like you're still picking her to be a bridesmaid, so she's still important. She kind of got quiet, and I assumed she accepted it, and that would be the end of it. But no. Oh, geez. She decided to bring it to our mom. Gosh. Who is also a bridesmaid, and dad into this. Oh, okay. That's sweet that your mom is a bridesmaid. Normally, most weddings that I've seen, usually the parents of the bride and groom have a very special role. Not to go off on a tangent or anything, but I don't really have parents, so my husband's mom is very special to me. And originally when we were planning, I had wanted her to be a bridesmaid because, like I said, she's really special. She's made me feel really welcome. She stepped in for the mom that I don't have, and she felt honored, but she had her own role and showed me that. I did my research, and that is the tradition around here. They walk down the aisle at a certain time, special dances and stuff like that. Normally they're not part of the bridal party, so I think it's actually really cute. But both parents sided with my sister, basically saying family always comes over friends. I have a really hard time with this one because, like I just said, like I don't really have parents of my own. The rest of my family, like I'm really not close with them. So everyone that I truly consider family is either a friend or like my husband's family. So I'm torn over this because friends can be your family. So what if this best friend is like a sister to OP? Like, we don't know their relationship. But then I also understand, like, if you have a good relationship with your family, especially like your sister, you guys are like great friends and stuff like that, then I can understand why they feel strongly about this. I'm very torn on this one. Let me know what you guys think. Let's keep going. I feel I made the right choice making my best friend my maid of honor, but I'm starting to think I should just fold and give the title to my sister to squash the drama. Am I the a-hole? And then we got a few updates. Edit, there's no tradition in my family of the sister being the maid of honor. My mother's sister wasn't her maid of honor, and my sister didn't express explicit interest in being maid of honor. She has a very busy life, and while we are, or maybe now were, close, she hasn't been overwhelmingly involved in the planning of the wedding. She helped with the color scheme, that's about it. Clocking that's very important. Edit 2. Yes, I was the maid of honor at her wedding 3 years ago. Ooh, that's also important. 3, I'm trying to make an update, but the mods won't let me post it. My sister and I made up. Oh, that's great to hear. I'm sad that I can't see the update because I wonder how they made up. So, just to talk about those 2 edits. The best friend is heavily involved in the planning. So it sounds to me like the best friend may be a little closer to OP than the sister. Not by blood, but just in general through life and stuff like that. Now it is important to note that OP was the maid of honor at her sister's wedding. So that might be where like the entitlement's coming from because they're so close. The sister chose OP to be her maid of honor. Like she kind of just expected it. That makes a little bit more sense to me. But let's read some comments here because I'm very torn. Top commenter here. Sorry, but I think you're the a-hole, not because your sister had some automatic right to be the maid of honor, but because you seem completely blindsided that she's upset. Based on your own description, you two are extremely close, sharing a room growing up, telling each other everything, rarely fighting, still remaining close in childhood, only 2 years apart, etc. Most people in that situation would assume they were obvious choice for maid of honor. It is your wedding. You can obviously pick whoever you want, but I don't know why you're acting like her feelings came out of nowhere. If I were your sister, I'd feel pretty rejected too, especially because the way she found out was by being, in her mind, publicly humiliated. Ooh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that is true. Like, she should have thought about, like, oh, maybe my sister would expect that, especially since I was her maid of honor, and then did it in front of all of the other bridal party. Yeah, that is messed up. I think you could have at least had a private conversation with her about it first so she wasn't so blindsided. And keep in mind, having the right to do something doesn't mean that other people aren't allowed to have feelings about it. Yeah, this person is 100% right. I can see their point of view 100%. Looks like we got another comment right below it. I think it's unfair to consider OP the a-hole because of an unspoken wedding tradition, though, let alone ones that everyone doesn't hold. Growing up, I always knew the maid of honor to be the person who is your helping hand while planning the wedding, which she says her best friend has been. I stood in my sister's wedding and was not the maid of honor, nor was I peeved in the slightest to learn this. Unless OP and her sister agreed prior to this moment that she was the maid of honor, I think that automatically assuming that role is wrong, considering it's not only a privilege but kind of an extra job, one that no single person is entitled to. Her sister is allowed to be hurt because she didn't tell her beforehand, even though there was no agreement that she was going to be the maid of honor. However, her family is wrong to then expect her to make sister maid of honor. I feel like if OP and her sister were super close, they would have had a conversation about who their maid of honor was going to be soon after engagement, not at the moment they're in now, which is what makes it a bit more strange to me that this is an earth-shattering revelation to the sister. So I also see where this commenter is coming from as well. Like I was saying earlier, like you're not entitled to the position. I do also think it's important. This person said here that if they were super close, they probably would have had a conversation before this little get together. So, that is a little strange. That is a little strange. And like I said, too, with the best friend helping out more in the wedding, that just seems to me like this friend is a little bit more close than the two sisters are. Looks like that original poster did respond to this, so I'd like to hear that. Let's read this. You're missing my point. I don't think she's the a-hole for choosing a maid of honor that's not her sister. I think she's the a-hole for blindsiding her sister with it in public and not having the common courtesy to have a private conversation beforehand. You said it in your first sentence. It's an unspoken wedding tradition. That obviously doesn't mean OP had to follow it, but it does mean that she should have realized there was a pretty good chance her sister expected it, especially given the relationship OP herself describes. If they were distant siblings, I'd feel completely different, but OP goes out of her way to tell us that they are close. I also don't think the sister's reaction proves she felt entitled to the role. To me, it sounds more like she was reasonably hurt by what the choice seemed to say about their relationship. She was upset by the fact that her relationship with her sister is apparently not as close as she thought it was and felt rejected. Those aren't necessarily the same thing. And for the record, I don't agree with the parents telling OP she has to change her maid of honor. I wouldn't do that either. But I think there's a middle ground between the sister felt entitled to the position and OP had no reason whatsoever to think that this might hurt her feelings. This really is my issue. OP seems completely shocked that her sister is upset, and I honestly don't understand why. Given everything she wrote about their relationship, I think most people could have seen that reaction coming from a mile away. Honestly, I agree with this too. OP definitely should have seen this coming from a mile away. I agree. Like, it is a tradition that some families do hold. I also would say the fact that OP was the maid of honor in her sister's wedding, it was safe to assume that she might feel that was going to be her role, and it really would have been nice for OP to not basically humiliate her. I agree. I would have sat my sister down and been like, listen, I know I was your maid of honor. I was so honored. You know my best friend. You know we've been friends for years, and she's been helping with the planning nonstop. I'm going to make her the maid of honor, and you're going to be a bridesmaid. You're still so special. It's just she's been helping with the wedding more, so I'm going to give her that honor because she's already been putting in the work. And you've already had that conversation, so she doesn't feel like embarrassed. Now, I really think that the sister should have talked to you about it, immediately after that situation, not waited a few days, but she was definitely blindsided, and OP should have definitely seen this coming. Now, the post says, am I the a-hole for not making my sister the maid of honor? I don't think you're the a-hole for not making your sister the maid of honor. You have the right to make whoever the maid of honor that you want. It's your life. It's your wedding. You know your life more than anyone online could. And obviously your parents and anyone else, you know your life. So if this person is that important person that you want by your side, then that's your choice. But I definitely think that you could have handled it better. You definitely blindsided her. You acted surprised by her reaction, especially with your edits. You literally said that you were her maid of honor. So you guys must be close to the point that she picked you. So it's safe to assume that she would think that. So could have at least had a conversation with her before you revealed it in a public setting with everyone else, where she had to fake being happy. If you talked to her, maybe she would have understood and wouldn't have felt embarrassed. This was a tough one, guys. Still kind of torn on what I would do. What would you guys do? Let me know in the comments. All right, guys. Well, that's all the tea that I have for today. If you enjoyed it and liked hanging out with me, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.